You have to have a certain body type to be a gymnast. Back in the day, everybody had a more slim body and was really flexible and skinny, but now you can be a little bit shorter and more powerful like me.
Gymnastics isn't as easy as it looks. It's the talent of professional athletes that make it seem like the easiest profession in the world. As we all know, gymnastics is one of the toughest sports in the world, and the athletes who specialize in this particular type of sport are extremely talented. Gymnasts are expected to perform flawlessly, especially at the Olympic Games. To make it even more difficult, they have to follow strict rules. We thought we'd take a closer look at these strict rules they have to follow. Enjoy the video. But before we get into the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel with notifications on so you don't miss any of the new videos we post. The rules of gymnastics. Undisciplined behavior. Judges may deduct fractions of a point for undisciplined behavior by a competitor or their coach. There may be a deduction for competing out of designated order. Basically, the judges can deduct points for anything deemed negative catching their eye. Even when gymnasts perform their routines out of order, they could be penalized. Gymnasts must stay in the arena. A gymnast may not leave the arena during competition. If you leave the arena, even for a toilet break, you could be penalized. Olympic gymnasts must stay away from performing illegal moves. There are certain moves in gymnastics that are banned, and performing one during a routine can mean big trouble, usually because they're considered to be too dangerous. That's why competitors need to stay away from moves like the Thomas Salto, which left Elena Mukhina quadriplegic when she landed on her chin before the Moscow Olympics in 1980. They also have to avoid the Korbut flip, which was performed many times by Olga Korbut, including at the 1972 Olympics. The skill is executed by standing on the high bar facing the low bar, jumping backward into the air, doing a backflip, re-grabbing the bar, and ultimately swinging towards the low bar, according to flow gymnastics. While traditionally done on bars, the Korbut flip also had a beam variation done by completing a back handspring with a high flight in the beginning, then swinging down to a straddle position on the beam. In 2016, Olympic gymnast Deepa Karmakar talked to BBC News about attempting another extreme move, the Protonova, which 17 explains meant that she rotated 900 degrees or 2.5 flips, just barely spinning fast enough to land safely on her feet. The stunt is so terrifying that only a handful of athletes have ever attempted it. Karmakar even admitted, "One wrong move and I could die on the spot." Meanwhile, SImone Biles stays away from banned moves altogether, telling Vogue's 73 Questions it's illegal, so I've never tried one. A gymnast routine obviously needs to impress the judges if the athlete wants to walk away with a medal, especially at the Olympic level, and that won't happen if the experts handing out points already know what's about to happen. Not to mention the fact that it would be disastrous if another competitor stole a few key moves. Have you seen the chaotic, if fictional, circumstances that occur in Bring It On, when routines are stolen and duplicated? That's why gymnasts are expected to keep their routines a highly guarded secret. Those who break their silence not only risk losing the competition, they're also breaking an established rule. The International Gymnastics Federation, the worldwide governing body for the sport of gymnastics, addresses the tight-lipped nature of training in the FIG Code of Conduct, which all gymnasts are meant to follow. It states that competitors are expected to respect the confidentiality of information between athletes and coaches. Need proof of this? When gymnastics superstar SImone Biles took a camera along to her Olympic training center in order to do a 73 Questions interview with Vogue in 2016, she was asked if she keeps her routines a secret before a meet and responded with a simple yes. When the interviewer asked her if they could stick around to watch Biles' routine, she turned him down, stating, "Nope, because it's a secret." Olympic gymnasts have to be groomed correctly. There's a reason why Olympic gymnasts always look pristinely put together when they're competing. According to Vogue, the official USA Gymnastics rulebook deems that women gymnasts must be well-groomed in their appearance, noting that the bevy of regulations walk the line between preference and precaution. Vogue explains that spectators see a parade of tight braids, buns, and ponytails, for example, because hair has to be pulled away from the face lest it obstruct views of an apparatus necessary for spotting precarious landings, although there's no quantitative limit spelled out on bobby pins and elastic bands. As for jewelry, competitors are only allowed to wear a single pair of stud earrings. You can only wear earrings, nothing else, Olympic gold medalist Natasha Liukin explained to People. It's not allowed, but also you don't want to get in the way of anything that you're doing. Like when you're on the uneven bars, you can't be wearing a ring because you just can't. When it comes to nails, Luakin said it depends on what your head coach likes and what they don't like. I'm pretty sure USA head coach Marta Carololi prefers us not to really have a bright red or bright blue or pink or purple. I think something subtle was always good. I always had like a light pink on my toenails and then nothing really on my nails. Nailed it. Their leotards have to be approved. Olympians are free to express their personal style in their daily lives, but when they're competing, gymnasts have to wear outfits that follow specific guidelines and are approved by their coaches. Leotards, which have some part in lace, will have to be lined in the area of the trunk, according to USA Gymnastics, while the neckline of the front and back of the leotard must be proper, no more than half of the sternum, no more than that at the lower line of the shoulder blades. Meanwhile, dance leotards with narrow straps are not allowed. The website also stipulates that the cut of the leotard at the top of the legs must not go beyond the fold of the crotch, and that it's considered to be inappropriate for leotards to give the appearance of excessive nudity. If you've ever wondered why each member of a gymnastics team is dressed the same, the rules state that leotards for group gymnasts must be identical in shape and color. For her part, Natasha Luakin told people, "Before every competition, we do a little fashion show in the hotel or the Olympic Village, and it's with Coach Marta and all of our coaches. We all have to try on the same leotard, and we march down the hallways as if it's a runway. That's how we figure out which leotard we're wearing for the team competition." While the leotards are certainly snazzy, they're also incredibly regulated. They can't fix a wedgie while competing. Along with not being able to expose their underwear, Olympic gymnasts can't fix their wedgies if one happens to occur. This is another time when the perfectly designed leotards are helpful. The athletes have such extreme body types that there is no way we could just cut a standard pattern, Kelly McKinnon told Cosmopolitan. That's why each leotard is custom made to fit the athlete's body, which prevents it from shifting, sometimes inappropriately exposing body parts. When the gymnasts perform their body manipulating moves, for example, Simone Biles is incredibly muscular, but she's a mighty little package, so she has big shoulders and very little hips, so literally every part of her leotard is custom. Natasha told people, "You're not allowed to pick a wedgie or else you get deducted." So a lot of people use like sticky spray called Tough Skin for your butt so your leotard doesn't move. I've never used it, and I know most of the girls don't really use it, but if you have a fall and your leotard goes up your butt, you don't want to fix it in the middle of your routine. Off to the side, it's totally fine. Next time you get to an inconvenient wedgie, imagine what it must be like to experience one while competing for an Olympic medal. Safety. A coach is obliged to put their gymnast safety first. Gymnasts and coaches should not interfere with another competitor's safety either. Interfering with another gymnast in any way may be construed as interference with their safety. Skill levels. Generally, a gymnast must compete in the same skill level for all activities in a given competition. In other words, they cannot switch skill levels during a competition. Athletes have the right to be coached by individuals who are knowledgeable and have received appropriate training, and be properly prepared for participation by those in positions of authority, including coaches, club owners, and administrators, while being able to question or report improper behavior or violations of the Safe Sport Code, including of coaches or club owners, and without fear that doing so will negatively impact their participation or success. All athletes, and particularly minor athletes, are entitled to have their parents observe, coach, athlete interactions. Second attempts. Only one attempt is generally allowed for each apparatus, unless an interruption occurs that is not the gymnast's fault. Women's vault has occasional exceptions, when 2 attempts are allowed. If a gymnast's grip tears during his routine, he may repeat it in certain circumstances. Spotters. Spotters are typically allowed to stand near the rings, bar, or mat and can only intervene to prevent accidents. Fractions of a point may be deducted if a spotter intervenes, depending on competition level. Sometimes a spotter is permitted to help a gymnast into their starting position for events like the rings. Scoring. A judge panel usually scores gymnastics competitions. Depending on the level and league, there may be some judges, usually 2, measuring routine difficulty, while perhaps 6 or more evaluate performance and execution. Judges evaluate routines on a 10-point scale. Fractions of a point are taken off for falling off an apparatus and other errors. For each apparatus, points are capped at the number of a team's gymnasts multiplied by 10. That's the end of the video for today. What do you think of the rules? Feel free to leave a comment. Until we meet again, stay safe.